Hi everyone, it's Justine. I said I would do a Q&A video every season, so 4 times a year. The last one is already 4 months ago. Oops! So I call this one here Winter Q&A, and I asked you in 2 previous YouTube videos if you had questions for me. I picked a good mix of questions that I have not answered in the previous episode. I will link the previous episodes, the 2 previous Q&A videos, also down below in the description. Let's start. Whitney asks, where do you see your personal style categorized? Do you prefer a sporty sense of fashion, or are you fond of formal wear, or more business casual office wear, casual jeans and t-shirts, etc.? She asked that because my advice has helped her build her own wardrobe and her own style, so she's curious to know what I gravitate towards. It depends on which country you're benchmarking me on. I'm going to speak for myself, right? And you can judge from your own country's culture's perspective. Always comfortable, that goes first, before fancy or super stylish. I move when I work, so I have to feel good in what I'm wearing. I like separates, so a top and a bottom rather than full looks. I think it's just more practical. I like bottoms that are woven, preferably jeans, or knitted. That's why my first collection was all knitted, including the pants. As a top, I like a knitted top or a t-shirt. I rarely wear suits unless I have to. I do dress up for special occasions, but because there is something to dress up for. In daily life, I go practical. I'd say casual with accessories, nice shoes, jewelry always, a nice scarf, a hairstyle, something like that, so that I show respect to the people that I'm meeting. I don't want to look like I'm just getting out of bed, but I keep practicity in mind. Maya asks, do you plan any behind-the-scene videos? Would like to know more about your crafts, how you come up with the concept, inspiration, drawings, colors, fabric, how you cut the pattern, etc. You're such an inspiration. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful world with us. Love you. Very sweet. Thank you for your question and for your kind words. Short answer is yes, it's planned. I'm working with a videographer now when I make my videos. So this allows a moving camera that follows me while I'm working, because the challenge when I'm working is that I'm obviously focused on what I'm doing, and so far I couldn't manage to film at the same time. This problem is now solved, so for the next collection, expect all of the points that you've mentioned in your comments. Tanya is asking, hi Justine, hi. How to stay inspired and energized in winter? Perfect question for a winter Q&A. To be honest with you, I'm not so good at winter. I'm so much more of a summer person. In winter, I can see my productivity and my efficiency decline. It's crazy. So a couple of things I do when I'm here and I can't book holidays somewhere far away during those months. I have a lamp, which is a daylight lamp. It's a screen this size. It's on my desk, and I look into it 1 hour or 2 every day. People in Scandinavia use that too to compensate for the fact that they don't have enough daylight during winter months. I find that really helpful, and I turn this light on to extend daylight hours, so to speak. When you're missing sun, you're probably also missing vitamin D. So if you get a blood test done, I had that done. Turned out I'm missing vitamin D. Ha! Tell me something I don't know. So now I'm taking vitamin D complements and a little bit more in pills that you swallow with a glass of water. You get that from the pharmacy, and I feel like that's helping me too. Then if I get really, really depressed, I do a couple of minutes of solarium, like artificial sun. It's not so good for the skin, so protect your skin before you do that. Use sun care. But I feel like that's a boost when I'm really low. Hope that spring comes soon. Dominica asks, hi Justine. I love your channel. Congratulations to 300k subscribers. Thank you so much. I want to ask whether you keep some journal and why yes and no. Hello to Slovakia. So I have a notebook where I do creative things, like painting, pasting images, drawing little sketches, things that I want to keep for later. I'm not so good at doing this regularly. I keep trying. Then I have an agenda, calendar on my phone. Then I have another book where I write my goals and my to-dos. I don't want this to be in the same book as the pretty pictures that I'm gathering. And then I have all the free floating sheets and little pieces of paper, napkins from the restaurants where I drew or wrote something that I wanted to remember. I have 3 different apps on my phone where I take notes of ideas, and it's not really in one place. I would love to be that kind of person that uses one book for everything, but it just doesn't work for me. This book is never where I need it when I need it, so I end up writing everywhere else. If you guys have tips on how to keep a journal, be good at that, and gather everything you're doing into one place, and then please share your tips with me. I'm very curious. I admire people who are able to do that. Prita asks, I have 2 questions. What's your favorite book? And how do you work through creative blocks? Let me start with the book. I'm going to say one that I read within the last 6 months because I have many favorites otherwise, and I keep all of them, so my bookshelf keeps growing. That would be George Orwell's 1984, because it's so crazy relevant right now in the light of what's happening in the world and of the technological evolution, your phone listening to you, social media, remarketing, things like that. Extremely impressive and scary how science fiction can become what people thought would be impossible. And creative blocks, that's a great question. I've actually done a video about this topic, how to get out of a creative block. I link it down below in the description if you haven't seen it. Basically, it's about switching the setup in my case. So physically and mentally. Physically, I will literally switch rooms, get out. Don't get stuck in front of your worksheet because that's really not going to help. Go for a jog, go for a run, go to the gym. Get out, breathe, get some fresh new air between your ears in there. And then mentally, that means making sure that you stop thinking about that one thing because it's not moving forward at the moment. So call somebody, do push-ups, turn up the music, the volume, and dance like crazy in your living room. Anything that mentally breaks up the vicious circle, so to speak. Question from Ali. I've often wondered, Justine, why the fashion industry can't standardize their sizing once and for all. Would make life much easier for the customer. Amen. I think there are 2 main reasons why it's not happening and why you still have so many different sizes across the world and even within one country. The first is there are designers who are divas and say, I only want to design for a woman who has an impossibly thin waist. If you want to be able to wear my clothes, up to you to look like that woman. Otherwise, I'm not going to dress you. Which I obviously totally disagree with. If you've been watching my channel, you know what I think about this. I want to dress real women. They want women to look like the dresses they do. I mean, we can't agree, but I can't force them. And then the other reason is that sizes are not the same between countries because people are not the same between countries. And because you have petite people and you have tall people, and the average person doesn't look the same in every country. Each country started to set a standard and they didn't talk to other countries. And I think everything just grew like this up to now. And now we export all around the world. Now we see the issue. Question from Mrs. Julie Devon, or Miss. How can I capture my joy? Things are moving forward for me and goals are happening. I want to capture that somehow and use it as nourishment for future me. I think that's a great question and a fantastic project. Congratulations on everything nice that's happening in your life right now. Are you someone who works better with words or with visual things? Because if you like words, you could write down every evening, today or something A, B, and C happened. So you keep track of the facts. Or you use keywords. Today I felt emotional, active, blah, blah, an adjective. Then to the adjective you can add an emotion, a person who inspired you, a place in the world that suggests the feeling that you're feeling today. You know, like using keywords like this. If you're more of a visual person, you could allocate a color to every day or a picture, if you like to do picture research, and then build a mood board with all those things. Remember that it only needs to be understandable for you later, for no one else. So take whatever method works with your brain and have fun. Next question. Justine, I'm always impressed by your videos, thank you. I'm glad you're taking time to rest. It's over though, I'm back at work. My question is, what do you do to distress on a typical work day? With all that you have going on, I wonder how you handle work while making time for yourself. Making time for myself is one of the things I want to get better at, to be honest. A typical working day is from getting up to going to bed. I also work from home, and I also make videos, and I work creatively, so it's really hard to say I turn my brain on at 9 and I turn it off at 6. It doesn't work like that, so it's kind of on all the time. And so there are moments when it starts to race, you know, the term monkey mind. It's like whether you want it or not. And there are moments when it gets too much and I feel like I have to stop that. So options are going to the gym, take a spin class. You come out of that type of class completely rinsed off. Literally. Too much information, I'm sorry. Very efficient. After that, you take a good shower, you go to bed, you sleep so deep that it feels like a reset, and the next day I feel fine again and fresh again. Or I try cooking, baking. I cook at least 3 evenings a week, like properly. I find that almost meditative. And I started meditation a couple of months ago. I have a couple of apps on my phone. I can also list those down below if you're interested. If you look for meditation in the App Store, you'll find plenty of choices. I find it easier with guided meditation than when I just set a timer for myself, because if I do it alone without a voice guiding me, my mind immediately starts wandering away and it's not as efficient. So I try all of that, and if it doesn't work, push-ups. Next question. Hi Justine, hello. I loved your book recommendations a while ago, and I'd love to know what you've read and loved recently. I just picked up a book at the thrift store called Parisian Chic, a style guide by Inès de la Fressange. I didn't know this book. Thank you very much for the tip. I will make sure to check it out. Now come my book tips. I'm almost done reading Simone de Beauvoir, the memoirs, in several books, huge thing. Brilliant writer, a woman who was very independent in the mid-20th century, great insight, she writes beautifully. If you like classic literature, I would say that's a must. Then I'm reading this, Philosophie de la mode, Philosophy of Fashion by Georg Simmel. That's an actual picture of a woman wearing a corset, by the way. Corsets are okay? No, they're not. It's a small book, very easy to read, but very good for thought. Kurt Tucholsky, German writer, I think it's a major writer in Germany. Dürfen darf man alles, you may anything. It's very sharp humor. He's critical of the cultural differences within the European countries he's been in touch with because he traveled a lot. It's extremely smart. It's hilarious. It's not a full story, it's little single thoughts like this. You can open it at random and just pick a couple every day. He lived in Germany in the 20s. He had to emigrate when the Nazis arrived. He died away from his country because he was critical of Germany, and that was a no-go for the Nazis. But after his death, this book was republished, and now it's a classic. It's really worth a read if you don't know it. Kurt Tucholsky. I will link everything down below so you find the titles in English. Then Nicolas Bouvier, Le vide et le plein, the empty and the full, if that makes sense. He was one of the very early travel writers. It's a diary of the year he spent with his family living in Japan. So you have everything, right? It's unfiltered. The days where he's having an aha moment and loves it, and then the days where it's just not working because of cultural differences and where he thinks we are incompatible cultures. I think that travel diaries are a great way of understanding a culture that you're not familiar with. So I love to read that kind of book, and I love Japan. The next one I will read, Victor Hugo, Notre-Dame de Paris, classic. I read that when I was 14. It's time for reread. It's a thick one though, but it's beautiful. If you've seen the movie or the Disney movie, you know the story. It's better in the original book. And the last one is actually a workbook, The Photographer's Playbook. It's full of assignments from renowned photographers, usually 1 page for each assignment, to help you practice and improve your photography skills, which is one of my goals for this year. That's it from me. If you have extra book tips, please share. Thank you. Next question. Where do you see yourself living in 10 years? Who? This question is like in job interviews in big companies when they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I never know that. I used to answer whatever they wanted to hear. But really, I don't know, because my life has changed so much every year so far. I have no idea. I wouldn't even guess in 6 months. So when I see myself in the future, it's usually on the beach, somewhere sunny. I'm never working in those dreams, which is weird because at the same time, I don't plan on retiring ever. I'm trying to build a life where I love what I'm doing so much that I can keep doing that until I die. I don't see why you would retire from a job if you like it. So it's totally contradictory, and I have no answer for you. I'm sorry. Next question. Have you seen any of the events at the Winter Olympics? Do you have a favorite event, either participating or spectating? Hashtag winter theme, hashtag Q&A. The hashtag Q&A, I will actually use it next time around. It's very useful to recognize the questions for the Q&A within all the comments. Smart idea, thank you. I like rowing because I used to be a rower. I like to watch tennis too. And in winter, I love the skiing competitions. Also because you can't control the wind or the snow situation, so it's never easy and it's never the same. And it's a lot of pressure to take, so I have the highest respect for people in this kind of sports. There is also this 19-year-old French girl who performed there. 4 years ago, she was the youngest one in the French team, but with no real chance of a medal. And this time around, she was favorite in skiing. She went through a whole psychological preparation because when you're the favorite one, starting the finals, the pressure is incredible. I know that from doing competitions, and I was far from the level she's playing at. She delivered. She got the gold medal. Like, she's the best in the world, and she's 19. And on the podium, she was asked, "So, how do you feel?" And I guess the interviewer was expecting an answer like, "I feel great, and it's awesome, and I'm gonna party all night." And she answered, "Honestly, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And I just want to go to bed." And I thought, that's the most honest answer I've ever heard. And you know what? You earned it. Just go to bed. That's it, everyone. This Q&A is over. Thank you. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this and if you're looking forward to the next one, which will be this summer. It got pretty long again, but you asked smart questions, so I want to give you a more elaborate answer. And I trimmed down a lot during editing, so that's the best I could do. Thank you for watching through. I'll see you very soon again, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. I upload new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Until next time, take care. Bye!